With us are Brad and Henrik from Pickit. Pickit is the #1 downloaded app for PowerPoint, and maybe there is a reason for that, so we will see what they're going to show us after a second. Pickit is also one of the biggest sponsors of Present to Succeed, so thank you guys for helping us and supporting us. And without further ado, Brad, Henrik, welcome to Present to Succeed 2021. A lot of us are expecting this session. Why is Pickit, before you start any screen sharing, Brad, why is Pickit, in one sentence, why is Pickit the #1 downloaded add-in or app for PowerPoint? What's going on?
It's so damn good, and it's solving a problem that so many people face.
All right, that for sure, that for sure sounds like one sentence, very straight to the point. Okay, are you ready to start the presentation?
Yes.
Let's go. Take it away, guys.
Thanks, Boris. Great to be here. Yeah, so as Boris said, my name's Brad Hawkes, and I'm the VP of Marketing at Pickit, and Henrik is actually one of the co-founders. Henrik's tuning in from a small island way up north off the coast of Sweden, and I'm coming at you from way down south, slightly larger island called Australia. So this really is a seriously remote presentation where, you know, each of us on opposite sides of the globe. So fingers crossed everything works. We do have matching plants, as you can see, so it's a good start. Just a heads up, this is the tools track. So this won't be a classic presentation as such. It will be more of a sort of tour of the tool that is Pickit that you've just heard about. I'll give you a little bit of a walkthrough shortly. But we also want to hear from Henrik and just sort of hear his top 5 tips for maybe slightly less seasoned presenters, not first and foremost you presentation designers out there, but everybody else who's constantly presenting at work for different reasons. And I also want Henrik to kind of explain how the hell did, you know, a little app, Boris asked me, but, you know, a little app that a couple of guys invented on a small island in the Baltic Sea become the world's #1 most installed PowerPoint add-in. So we'll get to that in a minute. But just before we hand over to Henrik, I want to start the way so many presenters do, with a rhetorical question. I want to ask you, what would you say if I said I could give you back 5, 10, maybe even 15 hours every month of your time that you currently spend creating presentations? Because a lot of sources say that, you know, the average knowledge worker spends about 20 hours a month creating presentations. Now, if you're at a design agency like 356 Labs, you're spending way more than that. But for all the rest of you who actually, you know, you're not professional presenters, but you're constantly having to present, you're spending a lot of time on this. And interestingly, those 20 hours aren't generally being spent polishing public speaking skills, working on body language, crafting the perfect copy for your slides, or getting the message absolutely right. All the great things we've been learning at Present to Succeed. So much of those 20 hours is spent wasting time, trying to find the right images, trying to find your product shots, brand images, company logos, hunting around on SharePoint or Dropbox for, you know, the corporate template, trying to get some licensed stock images that you're allowed to use in your presentation, all that kind of stuff. And, you know, that's where we can really cut that time in half, and often in half again with this service. So what we've tried to do, unfortunately, we haven't yet invented an add-in that can fix your body language. That may be somewhere down the line. We can't make you a perfect public speaker, but we can give you back a lot of time so you can work on that stuff yourself instead of all this other context switching and stuff. So what we've done with Pickit, we've focused on these 3 main areas here. 3 ingredients for powerful presentations: design, structure, and format. And we've tried to productify or toolify those 3 areas. So that's what I'll be jumping into when I show you around the Pickit add-in in just a few minutes. But first, over to you, Henrik.
Thank you, Brad. And it's really an honor to be here at Present to Succeed and being able to share Pickit with all you attendees. So it's great to be here. It's a great conference. And you asked about the story of Pickit, or where it all started. And it is relevant to, as a start to what I will share with you with the next coming 5-6 minutes. So let's stay, I think you need to switch slide, and let's stay in this picture for a while. This is me to the left and my wingmate Matthias to the right. And like you guys said, we are the founders of Pickit, and everything actually started with Matthias. And now you think he might be the presentation guru, but he's not. And in fact, he's the worst, or was the worst PowerPoint creator, I seriously mean that I've ever met. And to defend him, he's the best guy in the world. I love him. But also, he had zero design background and no knowledge of how to create an impressive slide deck. So you might think, so why is he the seed of Pickit's business idea? Well, I've studied what's behind impactful presentations for over 15 years now. And there, according to me, is one key success factor that is the foundation that needs to be there. And it's how we actually value the PowerPoint moment. According to me, making impactful presentations starts with a mindset. So everything started the day when Matthias understood that great presentations can make a big difference. And since I love presentations, design, and I have the skills and a good eye, he got me to create all his presentations. So I became his little personal assistant. And that was a bit annoying, to be honest. And it was definitely not very efficient for me, and definitely not very efficient for the company. So after a while, I needed to optimize this process in some way, try to find something that could make Matthias do his own presentation. So I created some really simple rules for him, and I was like his boss, trying to just hammer those into his brain. And that was the start of Pickit. That's where we realized that there are not only one Matthias, there are so many people here around the world that need some help in creating better presentations. So that was the start of it. And now we have these 5 simple rules. And as Brad mentioned, it's not for, the most skilled persons, you know this from start, but this is to help your colleagues or people around you to level up their skills a little bit, just on a very simple, high level way. So the first rule, let's go through these 5 rules. And the first rule is quite simple. It's about how many messages we should have on each slide. And it's a very simple rule because we only allow you to have one message. And the reason is your audience will start read everything on your slide when you show it from start. And that means that the attention is taken away from you in the beginning. And people will forget about what you actually talked about. So this is a really simple rule. And even worse, I would say, if you have all these messages, you will turn around and you will start reading them yourself. And that's not making an impact. It's really, really bad. This is a good example of one message on this slide. It's an image and it's a title working together, creating this one message. And these are taken from the Pickit Academy. I know Brad will show that later. So these are examples that you actually can access later in the product. Okay, second rule. And now I did this pause because this rule is about the number of elements that we should start with on each slide when we start to present. And if we have this many elements, our brains are starting a process without us knowing that to count these. And we cannot control that. So that's really necessary for you guys to keep it very tight. Click again, Brad, down to 5, maybe 6 elements from start. Then we just don't start this process of counting stuff and we can listen. And this is a really important rule if you want to make an impact. And here's another example from the Pickit Academy. And I would say this is about the maximum of what you should have when you create your slide from start. You can always add stuff to your slide, but if you start with, this is a title, 4 circles with the word maximum. Okay, next rule. We talk a lot about fonts. Many of you have your company font or company fonts. We always say max fonts 2 fonts per presentation. That means that what we actually mean with this, and what I meant to Matthias, was that please check your deck before you leave it or present it. Because many times you add stuff to your presentation, you forget about checking the font, and then it looks unprofessional when you show it. So please stick to 2 fonts maximum per presentation. And you can do so much with a font. This is another example from the Pickit Academy. You can work with sizes, colors, cuttings like italic, bold. So you can still be very creative, even though you only stick to 1 font. And it makes it look so much more professional. Okay, rule number 4. Rule number 4 is about 7 words or less per line. And the same thing here, if we tend to add too much, a full sentence of 12, 15 words, people will start to read that sentence. And of course, you will also read it like a robot. So this is not a good impactful way of presenting. So keep this rule in mind when you create your presentation, and try to stick to 7 words or less. And I do that all the time. And I'm amazed by how my message is turning into something so much more clearer when I use this rule. So it's a very simple rule. Sorry. This is an example from the Pickit Academy as well. And as you can see, there are plenty of stuff in this slide, but the 2 lines are not full, doesn't have more than 7 words per line. And that makes it easier, at least for me as an audience, to take in. Okay, rule number 5, the bullets. I mean, we all love bullets, or we hate them. I mean, bullets are good. It's a good way of explaining stuff. But we say keep it to maximum 5 bullets per slide. If you have more bullets, add another slide. We can take in more slides, but not too much at the same time. And if you combine rule number 4 with rule number 5, then your bullet slide can be really, really good and impactful. And maybe you should add an image between those bullet slides if you need. So these are the 5 simple rules. We have them, we talk a lot about them, and it's for people who's not really into this and educated or skilled in designing. And they are quite easy. It's 1 message per slide. It's 5 elements or less when you start your slide, maximum 2 fonts per deck, 7 words or less per line, 5 bullets maximum per slide. So that's the 5 simple rules from Pickit. And over to you, Brad. You are going to continue in the tool, I guess.
Yeah, I'll jump in. I'll jump in and show you. So thank you very much, Henrik. And this is great because Henrik's here. He can do this. Matthias had Henrik next to him, at the office back when people worked in offices. And he could ask Henrik. But what we wanted to do is how do we reach all the other Matthiases around the world who don't have a Henrik or don't have a Boris or can't be at Present to Succeed every day of the year and get all the help they need. So we tried to sort of put that content, and you heard Henrik mention Pickit Academy several times. So I'll show you that. That's one of the elements or areas in our product or our app. So introducing the world's #1 PowerPoint app without further ado. And actually, I'm going to jump out of sort of slideshow mode so that you can actually see it. So you'll have to just bear with me that I'm working like this now. And I just want to show you Academy and several other things. So, and I want to cover these 3 areas I mentioned before: design, structure, and format. So let's jump into design first. And not just any old design, but stunning design. So what are some key elements to stunning design? Many times the reason we're presenting and not, showing somebody in Excel is that we want to use images, we want to make it look impactful. So where do we find our images? A lot of people would go maybe to a stock image provider. They can be great, but they can sometimes be expensive. It can be tricky to keep track of licenses and logins and all kinds of things. Other people sneakily jump off and have a little look around on a search engine, but unfortunately about 85% of the images on search engines are actually unlicensed and not legal to use in a presentation. So that can be painful because they're not compliant. So what we've done is we've taken over 1 million images from 15 different stock image providers, and we've put them all under one roof in Pickit, right inside PowerPoint. So you never have to context switch and jump across to anywhere else. I don't know about you, but if I jump across to Dropbox or SharePoint, or especially to my browser, I'm a goner. I get distracted easily. So staying within PowerPoint is key. And, I want to do a presentation. I need a good business image. So just going to search for that. I will, maybe head over here and just open up a new slide and look around in here. Now, you might recognize this lady from earlier on. I want to use this image, so I just insert that one, and I know for sure that this is licensed. She's signed a model release. It's all clear, and I don't have to worry. So that's one way that Pickit can really simplify your workflow when you're looking for images. A problem we sometimes find, though, is we don't know what image we want. We don't know we're looking for a business image or for a car or for a cat or whatever it is. So we need some inspiration. And that's where these collections come in. These are kind of like visual playlists. And, they're grouped in all kinds of different themes and categories. So we've got professional curators at Pickit who their job is to make sure that there's topical current content here. So we've got Ramadan, Celebrate Diversity, Pandemic, and then more sort of, standard things like PowerPoint backgrounds or eco illustrations or all kinds of stuff like that. So in this case, I'm looking at doing a presentation on sustainability, all the rage. So I jump in here. Okay, I think I want a nice trendy bike. Henrik's from Sweden. All the Stockholmers ride these. A bit like New York, I guess, too. So there we are. We've got one of those in there. And I've kind of solved the inspiration thing with the tool again. The third area in stunning design is, getting your own assets. Your marketing department have probably spent a lot of time curating great content, organizing maybe photo shoots, product shots, star photos, developing new logos, all kinds of stuff like that. And that's where company media comes in over here. So depending what your company admin has done, this will look different. But this is a kind of classic structure where you've got brand images in different groups here. You've got different graphics, you've got product shots, maybe some employee portraits and all kinds of stuff like that, stuff to do with the logo. And we've just had a rebrand at our fictional company, Contosa. So I want something with the new logo on it, and that t-shirt looks like it'll do the trick. So that's sitting right there too. And again, I don't have to go to SharePoint, Dropbox, Box, wherever else. Don't have to bug anybody at the marketing department to get hold of this. It's all just sitting there if they've done their job. And instead of sending it individually to lots of different people, it's all just sitting there. They publish it once and it's all distributed. And lastly, fonts. We talked about that earlier. You probably know what font you're supposed to be using, but you might have forgotten how and when and where. That's where Pickit Guidelines comes in. And, maybe your marketing manager sent you a 57-page PDF with a brand book, style guide, and all that. But you probably never read it. You don't know where it is. So we decided to put that in the context where you actually need it. So, here's all kinds of stuff that could be useful. And look here, typography, and it tells me all about what fonts to use when and, which ones for headers, which ones for body. So that's a little bit about sort of stunning design. Let's jump now to structure. And there's a few elements here we can look at. One is templates. You want to use the company template if that's what they've asked you to do. So over here in documents, you'll actually find, if your admin has published all this, which they should, you'll find your company templates, presentations, all kinds of things here. And you can even do this with Word files or other things, but in this case, it's the PowerPoint, obviously. And, in this case, we've actually got them in a couple of different languages too. So you can jump in and get your templates there. You can also jump across to the guidelines again here and see how the template's supposed to be used. So this is our sort of company structure. We have intro, content, chapter, statement, and ending slides, 5 different categories. And you can, click through here and just see different examples of how they should be used. So that's that. Slides, you might wonder, how do I structure my slides again. All that information's in there. You can even see things like, what kinds of images should we be using? So if they've given you access to the Pickit image library, here you can see what kind of tonality for the slides they're looking for. And lastly, storytelling. So this is where we can jump into Pickit Academy, which we talked about earlier. And in here, there's a whole track at Present to Succeed on storytelling. It's a great way to help people structure their presentations so they're clear and there's sort of an arc. And in here, we've got storytelling basics for PowerPoint. And you can jump in here and read up on how to connect, how to explain, how to activate, different things like that. So that's a bit on structure. And lastly, let's just look at impactful format. So here we've got delivery. Again, in Academy, there's some stuff on how to adapt your deck, depending on the context. If you're on stage, in a group, one-on-one. The rules that Henrik shared earlier, they apply to a lot of these contexts, but if you're doing a send out, you might actually want more than 5 elements. You might want more than 7 words because you're doing something a little bit more in depth that people need to be able to read afterwards. And from Academy, you can actually just take a look at examples here of what that could look like. And, we want to make them memorable and we want to make them actionable. And again, in Academy, there's all kinds of stuff here. So we've got the 5 rules that you heard Henrik talk about earlier. They're all in here. You can check those out. But we also do regular webinars that you can jump into right from PowerPoint. So just stuff like this on how to make your content memorable and actionable. So there you have it. That's a little walkthrough. There's a lot more we could show you. Pickit Enterprise, the new version, is brand new, and we're releasing new stuff all the time. So it's a new product that we've developed after running with Pickit Business for a few years, and it's far more complex. We actually enable you now to be able to plug in. If you have a Getty Images account, you can plug that in here too. If you've got Adobe Stock, you can connect that. You can connect your Dropbox so you can surface content from there, SharePoint, Box, all kinds of different integrations just to make it easier. And, with all that, what we're doing is we're helping you to sort of save time on design, structure, and format. So you can spend that on body language, practicing public speaking skills, or, walking your dog, having a cup of coffee, or doing some important work.
Or selling your company's product, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. So giving you time back. One user recently, one company said, they've cut their presentation creation time, by 80%. They're creating content 5 times faster. A lot of people cut it in half, or spend a third of the time. So it really is a time saver. That's a little tour. We've got, I think, about 5 minutes left or something like that for questions. So.
And we have such. So let's go to them directly. There is a question from Julia who asked, who owns the licenses of the photos? And how do I get the copyright notices for each image?
So as Brad mentioned, we are working together with content providers. So there are different content providers that we have close relationships with, from Getty to like Jay in this case. And you can see the licenses in the detailed page of each image. And you can also, of course, access everything on the web as well. And this is something also to mention. If you work with this from an enterprise perspective as a company, you can add your licenses from your company media as well. So you can always add and control everything from that point of view.
Got it. What about, can you add there is another question that's related to the Academy, right? Can you add company media lessons into the Academy?
Yeah, that's a feature that is requested by many of our companies or customers today. So they will actually be able, and this is something that we update for the coming months, where they can pick ready-made lessons from us, but they can also include their own lessons. So if they want to help their colleagues or their organization to become better, or in their own story, whatever it might be, you can do that. So you can add that from a company perspective.
Got it. And one more, we have the time, so one more here. Can you create type of favorites, right? Or custom lists when searching images in the PPT app? Like, can you do that? You showed thumbs up, I think that may be the answer, okay?
Yes. Yeah, so both that you can create, and this is an update that is coming pretty soon. It's not here, but you can create your own lists or favorites and follow collections. You can also, the system remembers your latest inserts and so on. So it's becoming faster for you to access what you actually want.
So more or less, it's absolutely possible. Guys, you are doing, thank you for, first of all, thank you for the demo. Thank you for replying to all of the questions that we have up until now. We have 2 more minutes. Can you tell us yet again, for everyone who is here, who registered their ticket, or maybe, and who just consume the recordings, you did a very generous offer with each and every ticket for the conference. Can you tell us a little bit what is in that offer so that each and every person knows?
Yeah, and we've actually updated it and made it even better. So originally what we decided to do is give away 3 annual licenses for Pickit Enterprise, and they're valued at about €200 for a year. And the idea was the first 3 people from each company would get access for a whole year. But we had a lot of companies who are really interested in this, and more than 3 people wanted to try it. So what we've done is we've said everyone and anyone who's at Present Succeed who wants access to Pickit Enterprise can have it. Everybody will get access for a month. And then the sort of 3 key people can have access for the rest of the year. And if you want to add more people for the rest of the year too, we'll sort out a really, really good discount for you there. So you're going to get a fantastic deal with so much value. And the great thing is it's being developed all the time. So we're just working on Google Workspace, or what was G Suite before, and all kinds of other ecosystems and integrations that we'll be working with too, over and above PowerPoint and Microsoft.
Got it. Thank you guys for doing this. I know very well about that request because I was the person that sent it over to you. I know how much interest that provoked in quite some organizations. So you being that flexible and you readapting the offer again and giving the chance to everyone who wanted to see what Pickit can do for them was super nice of you. Thank you so much for that one. And thank you so much yet again for the session and being with us today.
Thank you.